Welcome to Poser Destroyer. Today we're going to talk about los discos compactos, but not just any. So compact disc releases have taken many novel forms. Today we're going to focus on a format that isn't very functional, but was more of a passing trend, which is the shaped CD. And there are shaped vinyls too, but maybe it makes even less sense in the compact disc format. So you only play them in certain CD players without completely destroying your CD player and the disc. So shaped discs are just a weird thing to exist. So they cost more to produce than a CD. They have strict requirements, like the need for the shape to be balanced when it spins. Data can only be recorded on the uninterrupted circular tracks, so the inner part of the disc. And you can only use them in CD players where you manually clip the CD into a center spindle. CD players with slot loading drives or that load a disc from a tray might not be able to play shaped CDs. I wouldn't recommend it. Don't try it at home because the players might get the CD stuck if they have optical sensors to detect the disc position as well. So there were also legal debates about whether shaped discs fall under an existing patent, meaning any label that releases a shaped disc might have had to have paid royalties to that patent holder. So the patent expired though in 2015, so now anybody can make shaped discs without a threat of litigation. So one of the earliest shaped discs was a compilation of different variations of the Doctor Who theme. It was pressed on a square disc and released in 1990. So presumably someone at the label turned to their manager while listening to Huey Lewis in the news and said, "It's hip to be square." And maybe that contributed to the decision to create this square disc, which they bragged about as being the first square disc on the front cover of the release. So another interesting example is, if anybody is a gamer going back to the N64 era, is the Diddy Kong Racing soundtrack, which is one of the best N64 games and just kart racers in general, featured the CD in the shape of Diddy Kong's head. But that's enough of like pop culture kind of examples. Let's talk about extreme metal now. So I'll give you a few examples from my personal collection here to give you an idea of the variety of these shaped discs and what they might look like. Nuclear Blast seem to especially like the shaped disc trend. So the earliest I have is when they put out a variation of Hypocrisy's Maximum Abduction on a shaped disc in 1995. The back of the Hypocrisy album said, "Please do not use in your car stereo system." In 1996, Carcass released Swan Song, an album that isn't particularly well appreciated in their discography. But what if I told you that some copies have the CD shaped like a brain? Does that make you want to purchase it? And by the way, this is far from Earache Records' worst offense. That same year, Dissection released their Where Dead Angels Lie EP through Nuclear Blast. One variation of the release was especially spiky. You can tell how much of a gimmick this stuff was too when they didn't even include an insert or a front booklet. It's just clear so you can see the shaped disc. Where Dead Angels Lie also had a similar disclaimer on the back to not play in your jukebox. Anybody else a big King Diamond Merciful Fate fan? So in 1999, a short compilation of King Diamond tracks that came from The Spider's Lullaby, Voodoo, and Graveyard were released by Massacre Records on a disc shaped like King Diamond's head. So on the back of this one, it says, "Not suitable for disc changers and car CD players. Improper use is left at the owner's risk." So letting people know that if you're destroying your own CD, that's on you. Usually these don't have such strict instructions. So in 2001, Nuclear Blast released a live Dimmu Borgir album called Alive in Torment on a shaped disc. Spooky. Does the shape add to the atmosphere? And on the back it says, do not use in stereo systems. I'd like to point out here that it has 3 exclamation marks, so I'd like to think that this far into the shaped disc trend, maybe there's a high amount of user error taking place. And then the same year, Relapse Records put out an edition of Exhumed's Slaughter Cult in the shape of a buzzsaw. And this is one of my favorite shapes, I think, here. An appropriate one for sure for Exhumed. Be careful around the sharp edges of this one. Then I've got one more example from my personal collection for you that I'll show, which is an EP that Hell's Headbangers put out in 2006 from the band Nunslaughter. And appropriately, the shape of the disc is the sigil of Baphomet. Just as a treat, I'll share you one of the funniest shaped CDs I've come across. So if you look over here, right, it comes from Germany's Atrocity, who started out as one of the best German death metal bands, but that wasn't their sound or their vibe when this particular release came out, as you can maybe predict from the shape of this disc and what it depicts. So plenty of other metal bands have shaped releases too, including a slew of different Manowar albums, so Posers Leave the Hall. But did I leave out your favorite shaped disc? Let me know in the comments. There's definitely some other great ones I didn't show in this video, and let me know what you got. So until next time.